Welcome to Coleman Report Live. I'm Bob Coleman, and we're talking Main Street and the small business lenders who help it grow. Mike Rosman out of Boston. Mike, it's been a while. Good friend. He's going to talk about franchising and PPP and all the good stuff. Mike, it's good to see you again.
Good to see you, Bob. Thanks for having me back on.
And of course, Katie out of the Northwest. Katie, you up to speed in all these changes?
I'm definitely trying to stay up to speed on everything. We've got a lot of news today, so we'll get into it.
We'll get into it. Very good. Mike, very quickly, he's the CEO, founder of a company called Bowfly. 30-second elevator pitch. What do you guys do, Mike?
Sure. Well, I'll say for small business lenders, for SBA lenders.
It's 30 minutes.
I'll use all of it. I'll yield my time back, Bob. So for lenders, predominantly, we're help lenders source business financing opportunities that they otherwise might not be able to get their hands on. We do a lot with franchise businesses. So franchisors will rely on Bowfly to help those franchisees secure financing. And so we have a very complete loan package available to lenders. It's a way for a small business lender to source lending opportunities.
Mike, you have to register with your website. What's it cost me as a lender to register?
So we're going to let you on free for the next month. We'll give you a chance to use it. We do have an opportunity for lenders to pay referral fees to loan brokers on our platform who use the platform. And then we have a small monthly subscription thereafter.
Which is?
$149 a month.
Okay, very good. Thank you. By the way, who's that good-looking younger brother on that slide there?
Well done, Bob. That's great. Good to see you, Bob.
Yes, it's been a while. All right, let's get to it. We thank you all for your support. We got a lot of questions. There's a certificate. Number one, do you have a PPP loan over $2 million that has been forgiven? This came up yesterday, Mike, and someone wanted to know that. Katie, last time we asked this, we got a 0. That was, about a month ago?
I think we had, we never really proved that anybody for sure did receive forgiveness on these 2 million loans, but we did see a couple people saying yes before. 8%. I think we might have gotten 2% before, so having 8% now is definitely an improvement.
Good. I'm glad to see that. A lot of questions on SAM and Cavers. What is your recommendation to lenders, Mike, on how often they should run these SAMs and Cavers reports?
I think typically lenders will do it for sure at the beginning of the relationship, right. and then thereafter they'll often look at it annually.
Okay, let's see what the audience says. Yeah, at the beginning, every new loan. There's nothing wrong with that. SBA is requiring. Definitely the beginning. We don't check if you did that one. Better start checking, because if you make a loan to someone who's on that list, which is the ineligible federal list, your loan is by definition ineligible. You don't have a guarantee. Same thing with Cavers. The SAMS report is for the report of people who have been disbarred dealing with SBA, and there's some additional information there. Katie, anything there that stands out that lenders need to know?
I'm not aware of anything in particular that's important to know. I mean, you can go check, obviously. This slide is out there, so check. Make sure you're checking your SAMS report and Cavers, and otherwise, there's nothing else new.
If you go back one, Joseph, if you can register directly there. And I know a lot of lenders do with all loan brokers, new loan brokers they deal with. Definitely check with that. Also employees, et cetera, et cetera. Cavers, they want to know if you have a delinquent federal obligation. And the same question. Yeah, every loan. Mike, that's an easy process, correct?
It is, yeah, and again, it's kind of it's blocking and tackling, right? You just got to get it done.
Do it
and make sure you're checking your boxes.
Yeah. Now, by definition, I think you can do it just at the beginning. Prudent lending, just do it every loan, make that part of your thing. Finally, a lot of news on this, and I don't want to spend a lot of time on it. I want to get to the questions, and I want to talk about franchising, but it is unclear. The guidance came in, Katie, what was it? Federal Register, I don't know, 30 some odd pages or whatever. We are eligible for first draw loan increases under what circumstances? Loans reported paid by December 27th. The lender must report the loan as either canceled or paid. The amount of the borrower repaid on the loan before, that should be December 27th. We obviously ran out of font or space there. And it's all of the above. So if you have payments before the 27th and the loan's been reported, paid in full or canceled, you are eligible for that. We will be talking about that more of that guidance is coming up, but that December 27th date is the key date on that. And any comments on that, Mike? Do you have anything to share?
No, I think, look, I actually, my heart goes out to lenders who have been, who help so many small business owners in PPP1, and they're positioning to help in PPP2. But look, you got to make sure you're following the rules, and I know you're hosting a session next week, Bob, to run through some of those rules. So you just got to keep your eyes on it.
Obviously, the big news is the opening of the portal. The portal was open. Some lenders I talked to, it's open this morning for institutions less than $1 billion. A couple of that's already been open. And then the portal will be fully open on Tuesday, January 19th for everyone. Have you heard any hiccups, Mike, in processing?
I haven't heard hiccups on specifically on the E-Train SBA side. I will say, I think lenders are falling into two camps that we're seeing, Bob. Those that are really taking a deliberative wait and see, let me make sure all the information's out before I want to engage with my customers. And those lenders that recognize that that they want to get information out to their customers. So we're working with one of the lenders we're working with. They've already queued up some 8,000 loan applications, the great majority of which are second draw. And so they're working on them. They're checking Secretary of State websites. They're doing everything they can internally before they're able to go ahead and hit E-Tran. And I think, again, people are falling into two camps. Are you just trying to do the bare minimum to help your client? That's not a bad thing. Or are you trying to actually grow your business and develop more market share? And that's, falling into two camps in that front.
It's interesting, Mike. A couple bit lenders I've talked to were surprised by the amount of core deposits they raised with that first round of PPP financing. They got a lot of core deposits that they were not expecting.
Well, at a minimum, the funds are sitting in their account, right? So the initial deposits, go right there. So, whether those deposits stick around, I think it goes towards
a lot of them. They moved their relationships to these smaller community banks, these smaller credit unions, and they've done very well. We've attached the notice on that on the first one there. I'm not going to go through this. If you want to know more about increases, it's there, and there's all the original. Mike, the reason why we want to do first draw is if you're ineligible for the second draw, which you don't have the decrease in sales. So these are the rules on that, and I think it's a 9-page notice, and we'll talk about it some more. Then, of course, who can get the loan increases. For some reason, that December 27th date is extremely important. So I want to talk about franchising, Mike. That's your specialty. Give us an overview of franchises, especially restaurants and hospitality. From your perch, what do you see happening? Yeah,
so I'll say from the quality of the credits that we're seeing, and the businesses, the underlying businesses themselves, it's really kind of falling into two camps. Those businesses that have not been able to heal well during COVID, and either are significantly impacted by ongoing government shutdowns or kind of rolling government shutdowns, or client behavior, right? The end customer isn't interested anymore in that service, and those businesses that are doing exceedingly well in the face of COVID, right? So we have quick service restaurants, sub shops.
Okay, do me a favor, define what is a quick service restaurant?
Sure. So under the NAICS code, right? So NAICS code 72 and change, limited service restaurant, and an example would be Jersey Mike's, right? So there's a Jersey Mike's franchisee who we've been helping, and his sales are up 30%. Right.
Why is that?
We're all getting takeout. People are tired of cooking for themselves, and it's a convenient, safe way for people to come in, pick up their food, and head on out. And so the sales are up and their profitability is up. At the same time, we're working with full service restaurants. Full service restaurants going to be, you're coming in, you're sitting down at a booth, and you're ordering off the menu. And some of those businesses have worked really hard to try to position themselves to serve the new client behavior in the face of COVID, and others have worked really hard and haven't really succeeded, right? So you can think of your Applebee's, your Ruby Tuesdays, They've worked hard to, in some cases, develop new brands. You didn't know that the wings you ordered came from an Applebee's kitchen, right?
Mm-hmm.
So they're actually getting very creative.
What are the major chains that have filed bankruptcy in the restaurant space?
So, we've seen Ruby Tuesdays go out, and that was, ownership there, private equity ownership. They are going through a restructuring, and the expectation is that they'll come out a different company on the other side, the Friendlies of the world. In these businesses, the sun's kind of setting on some of the style of dining, and it's hard to make that transition. Some have made it very well. In the case of Ruby Tuesdays, we see them, again, very creatively doing some ghost kitchen work, right? But you're not going to see it in all the restaurants who were there 2 years ago because half of them are going to be gone.
I come in with a package and I want to do a construction on a pad for a new restaurant. What are you telling your lenders? You're already shaking your head.
Well, no, so look, we're in a new day for SBA. The 90% guarantee is very compelling.
Yeah, thank you.
We've got no guarantee fees. And my answers are very simple. What's your plan in the face of COVID? If COVID were to stick around for the next 24 months, which we don't expect it will with the vaccine, how do you look? And if you have drive-through, if you have a takeout plan, if you're that Jersey Mike's I gave the example of, you're going to be very successful. And banks will line up for that.
Mike, and this is speculation, but I think as underwriters, we're all grappling with that. We understand short term. We understand the stimulus. Hopefully, those entrepreneurs nimble enough they can survive. Long term in the restaurant, hospitality, gyms, healthcare. Long term consumer attitudes, consumer preference, consumer. What's going to happen with that? How are we going to view going out to a restaurant 3-4 years from now than today? Or are we going to be, quote, get back to normal?
Yeah, I can confidently say I don't know, Bob. But what I think businesses are, what I will say is what we're seeing at Bowfly is we're seeing franchisors growing their pipeline of future franchisees. So we are up, when we look at December 2020 versus December 2019, or Q4 versus Q4, we're up 50% at Bowfly in terms of the amount of franchise applications that we're vetting for our franchisees. So what that tells me is that there are entrepreneurs who maybe they worked at IBM and they now want to go open up a business, and they're turning to franchising in record numbers, and they will find the brands that are going to be successful in that new environment.
Talk to me about hospitality. Who's eating hammered worst, restaurants or hotels?
So I think we're seeing restaurants succeed. With the right structure, restaurants are succeeding very well, and they're getting access to capital. I very much worry about hotels.
Yeah, that's and all levels. Very quickly, what are the different tiers of hotels that you?
Yeah, so I think that the budget travel, when you look at the budget travel, right, and the business traveler that's out there, there's a big wild card, right? So you and I have traveled at different points together. We've shown up in Vegas together. We've shown up in Florida together at conferences.
I'm a traveler in the year.
Yeah. And I haven't been on a plane since March 11th. And my wife and I were joking about that today. This will be the longest I've ever gone without traveling. And there are countless hotel room nights that are being, unsold because of it. They're moving their price. But I worry about that business travel. And that to me is when we look forward 12 months from now, I'm anxious to see where that number is.
What is your appetite for hospitality construction?
So I'll say we're not seeing a lot of hotel construction. We think that, there will be some restaurant opportunities, and, in state market, we're all asking what's it going to look like. Retail's already been under pressure with Amazon and behaviors that are changing, but people want drive-thrus. And we're seeing our brands that we do a lot of work with, the Smoothie Kings of the world, you give them a drive-thru and their sales are exploding.
Last question, then we'll go to our regular questions. What's going on with healthcare? How do you see that changing? Tell me about franchising healthcare opportunities. What's going on with that?
Yeah, so we have some great clients at Bowfly, Senior Helpers, Bright Star Cares. It's fundamentally a staffing business where they're going to come in and help take care of mom and dad or or grandma, grandpa who, and we're seeing them stay in their homes more. So the idea of going to a community environment of assisted living, that's, I think a lot of families are taking a second look at that and saying, oh, is this the right move? I don't know if we'll ever all move away from that, but we're seeing these businesses like Senior Helpers, like Bright Star Cares, seeing significant growth. And I think you're going to see more of that over the next 18, 24 months. You have
an aging population. Obviously the demand is there. And I think that's interesting. The franchising is getting involved with that. Finally, gyms. What's going on with gyms?
I think we're seeing a tough time, right? So the fitness environment, I think some have been very creative using outside space. And I know our partners, our clients who are in the fitness space remind us all the time that their customers are dying to come back together. There is a group of people who want to work out together, and I will always defer to the customer. They know their customers, and they know what their customers want. But when you see the likes of the Pelotons of the world who are getting out there, I think, again, you give me a gym owner, and they're going to say every time you watch, that Peloton user is going to come back to me as soon as the governor lets me open up, and I'll succeed again.
Well, here's a question for the governors. Orange County, it's illegal for me to get a haircut. Restaurants are closed. Should we get a second round PPP or wait until the restaurant opens back up? What do you recommend to Andrea, Mike?
So if you can get your loan and your loan size won't be hurt by taking it now due to your payroll, I say, get the money and hang on to it. The expectation is hopefully you'll be back in operation in short order.
Cindy's asking a question on 1099s. I believe that is all done by Treasury. I don't know the answer. Do you know the answer on this, Mike or Katie, if the lender has to do this? Let me get Lance involved. I'm pretty sure, though, the lender that's done automatically by Treasury and by SBA. Alexis asks this next question. Jim asks the question. Based on the new application for second draw PPP loans, the borrower for loans 150 and less does not need to provide evidence of the reduction in sales. However, it isn't clear what the lender's responsibilities are in good faith. I've had a lot of conversations with this. Mike, what do you recommend for lenders under 150? Do you accept it at face value? We've talked about you got to do the SAM check. You have to do the Cavers report. What should a lender do at a good faith application?
Yeah, you're certainly getting the certification, right? That they've had a drop in sales.
But do we need anything else, or should we get something else?
So I fall into that camp of you're a banker and then you wear belts and suspenders. So ask them to submit that information.
Good.
And go ahead and capture that information. As it relates to the payroll information, if this is a second draw, you already have their payroll information from the first round, and it should still be applicable.
Right. And we've talked about that. I know that I said you could have your CPA do it, and I got a long letter from some of the CPAs says, yeah, but there's a liability the CPA is going to charge. Well, of course the CPA is going to charge for that. I understand that. So I'm not, but I'm saying we have some unsophisticated borrowers, and how do they do this? As a lender, I don't want a pile of bank statements with the person saying, oh, these 10 transactions, don't ignore them, they're loan proceeds or whatever. I want someone to give me some type of compilation statement, internal statement, or as we've talked about, have an outside party do it for them. But I agree with you. I think a good faith is you can do some certain things. Some lenders are saying, hey, if I have an existing customer, I may have a little less standard of requiring documentation than if someone coming in through the doors. See, that's a pause that allows you to
articulate.
You articulate your...
Articulate. Yeah, look,
nothing else. Say, Bob, great point. Go ahead.
It's a great point, Bob.
There we go. Okay, let's go. Jake says, I have a client who has not applied, received PPP funds to date, but wants to apply for PPP2. Do we have to meet the 25% reduction rule since they didn't get PPP1? The answer is yes. Correct?
Yeah. So again, they have to represent that they need the funds, right? So if you can't go ahead and meet that requirement, then I see that being a problem. Abigail
says independent contractors haven't filed their 2020 income tax returns. how do we figure this out in reduction of revenue calculations, Mike?
So it's self-reported, right? So you're going to go, no one's done their 2020 taxes. It's based upon a certification that you've had that drop. Give me interim financials if you're going to go ahead and collect documents. But, I recognize that ultimately it's going to fall back on that certification.
I'm going to throw you a curveball, Katie. You've been awfully silent, so we need to let you make your money here. Do we know when payments start on this, or are we still waiting for final guidance on this? When do payments start on the second PPP draw loans? And do funds have to be funded in 10 days like the first draw, Katie? Do you know offhand?
I don't know offhand. I'm trying to think.
Mike, do you know?
I don't think I've seen that date yet. Yeah.
I don't know if I've seen it.
I agree with that. I don't recall that. We'll clarify that. And finally, we'll finish up with this question for Mike Rosman. The gym owner took the first round PPP, was shut down by the state, didn't use the money from the first round. Can he return the first round money and reapply for a new first round loan? Now that he's reopened, I don't know why he would want to do that. But
I fundamentally come back to the same question: is if you wouldn't apply for a new loan, would you have those funds? If you're in if it's a forgiveness play and you're trying to go ahead and get forgiveness, I think there's easier ways to go ahead and do it. That being said, if the funds have been repaid and you've settled your loan, you can get a second draw. It just seems like I'm not sure what the underlying
but
purpose.
The first draw either needs to be repaid or need to be fully dispersed. Correct?
That's right. Yeah, that's right.
Great. Well, very good. Mike, as always, love having you. As you said, Lance is going to be doing 2 webinars next week. We're going to do the 2021 review. Monday, we're dark for the holiday. And then on Thursday, we're repeating the second draw PPP. Everyone who attended the webinar is automatically invited. And for those of you with the unlimited site license, you can send anybody else from your bank. Mike, I certainly enjoyed the conversation. I'm glad you're doing well.
Thanks, Bob. It was great seeing you. I appreciate it. Thanks, Katie.
Be sure to take a look at Mike's platform. It's very good in matching lenders with franchises and anything on franchise. And reach out to Mike. He'll be more than happy to help you with that. And thank you for joining us today for Coleman Report Live and for supporting America's Main Street, one entrepreneur at a time.
Have a great day.